Processes build things. We have processes that build cars, computers, companies and all manner of goods. The homes we live in are the result of building processes. Our food is made by the process of farming. Vegetation grows by a process of photosynthesis. And we are alive because of many ongoing biological processes, such as respiration, circulation and digestion. The universe is built from a process, and everything that goes on in the universe is a process. The Search for Reality video on this channel described how countless numbers of tiny quantum processes build the universal reality that we see around us. This reality is based on interfunctional properties whereby the very existence of one property depends upon the existence of another. This diagram shows some of them. If any one of these properties did not exist, then none of the others could exist and universal reality would simply not exist either. Some of these properties are more obvious than others. So for instance, if there was no space, there would obviously be no universe. And if there was no time, then there would be no universe. Similarly, if there were no energy. Other interfunctions are more surprising. For instance, quantum boundaries. The Search for Reality explained how atoms can be constructed from quantum boundaries. The whole of the universal reality that we see around us can be viewed as consisting of layer upon layer of nested boundaries. There is, however, another universal interfunction that is so important that it is difficult not to overstate its importance. And that is the property of sentience. So just as with space, time, energy and boundaries, if sentience did not exist, then universal reality would not exist. Sentience is integral to every part of the universe. There are major philosophical consequences to this. But for now we are going to look at how universal sentience leads to a simple explanation for the existence of life and consciousness. Let's see how. This is a representation of a simple atom made from countless numbers of quantum processes. These consist of pairs of oscillating quantum electrons. Only one pair from each illustrated shell is shown oscillating. However, all the processes have two boundaries and together they form the outer boundary of the atom. And they contribute to the electron cloud that makes the space in which the atom exists. It is also true that every quantum electron pair that makes up the outer boundary of the atom has to be aware of where that boundary is. If that were not the case, then the boundaries of the atom would fall apart. The atom would lose its structure and not exist. So we can conclude that atoms made from aware quantum processes have the property of atomic awareness. It is also the case that every quantum process oscillation has two boundaries. And as the quantum process is aware of the position of both of those boundaries, it is aware that it exists between them. So we can conclude that atoms made from self-aware quantum processes have a property of atomic self-awareness. As sentience can be defined as something that has the property of awareness and self-awareness, then we can say that atoms have atomic sentience. One of the most difficult questions to answer is, why is there anything? Why would an atom exist? In this process universe, this translates as, why would quantum processes arrange themselves to form an atom? The answer lies with quantum sentience of the quantum processes. Every quantum process consists of a pair of quantum electrons that move apart because like charges repel. And every quantum process is restrained from moving apart by the charges in surrounding quantum processes. This dynamic powers the process's oscillation. So every quantum process feels an outside pressure tending to reduce the space in which it can oscillate. And threatens ultimately to crush it out of existence. So now we can understand the driving force that underlies why atoms exist. When quantum processes arrange themselves in the form of a concentric atom, their combined electrical forces push the atom's boundary outwards against random surrounding charges. In effect, the atom makes more space for its constituent quantum processes, more space for itself. The structure of the atom is a strategy for its existence. We now have a picture of both how, and why, sentient atoms come into existence. However, the idea of sentient atoms is a pretty alien concept, because dead mechanical atoms have been the atomic view of nature for millennia. So what level of sentience are we talking about? Certainly nowhere near the level of sentience that we enjoy. Atoms are only aware of their own existence in so much as they are aware of their own boundaries and that those boundaries are under pressure from outside sources. We need to find out how primitive atomic sentience might grow to form sentient life and consciousness. It will help if we talk in terms of holons. The idea of a holon emerges from the observation that everything in nature is both a whole and a part. It is true for atoms that are a whole in themselves, but are also parts of a molecule. Of molecules that stand alone, or may be part of a cell. Of cells that may be single, or be part of a larger organism. It is also true for human beings who have an independent life, and are part of social systems. So the idea of holons looks a bit like this. We have a series of nested boundaries. And no matter how big we make the largest boundary, there will always be an infinity of space to draw another. So holons are anything enclosed by a boundary. Let's have a look at some real-world examples. For convenience, we will take atom holons to be base-level holons. The pebbles are obviously holons, and so too are the sand grains on the beach. And these are made of silicon dioxide molecules, and they are made from silicon and oxygen atoms. They all have boundaries. And so too, the sea stacks, the beach, the cliffs, the ocean, and the earth. They are all holons, they all have boundaries. Earlier we discovered that the boundaries of atom holons are one of the interfunctional keys to their existence. And we also recognized that an atom holon must have interfunctional sentience in order to exist. So, we can now propose a very important property of holons. We can propose that as holons have more internal boundaries, more complex structures, their sentience becomes more complex. Let's see how this plays out. Here is a simple carbon atom holon. It has a very simple structure, so its sentience is very simple. Next we have a water molecule. It consists of 3 individual atoms. The molecule has more complex boundaries than the atom. This arrangement of atoms gives the constituent quantum processes that make up molecule more space in which to exist as they push against surrounding unordered quantum processes. And water molecules can also form bodies of water from the size of raindrops to oceans. Individual water molecules are protected from outside forces in the same way that an individual fish in a shoal of fish is protected by the size of the shoal. The structure of a molecule is a strategy for survival. When we look at the complex structures of amino acids and proteins, we see that these sort of molecules are sufficiently sentient to be able to react to their environment by twisting and turning to maintain their structure. And with even more complexity, DNA holons with their long chains have a level of sentience that enables them to code for proteins and to replicate themselves. While, with their very complex structures that includes DNA or RNA and a protective outer shell, virus holons have a level of sentience that we recognize as being on the verge of life. And what about single-celled organisms? Amoeba holons have so many internal boundaries and levels of complexity that their sentience manifests in them having a sense of touch and the ability to use their sentience to help them survive. We definitely recognize amoeba as living organisms. They use their outer boundaries, their outer membranes, as tools. If they feel food, they surround it, metabolize it and grow. If they feel danger, they move away from it. If they get too big, they divide and reproduce. Amoebae act intelligently to survive. And with more complex form, more sentience. This oak tree holon has a far more complex structure than an amoeba. It is aware of light and the passing of the seasons. It uses its leaf holons as disposable organs, discarding them in the winter when there is little light and a greater risk of the tree being blown over. Oaks acts intelligently to survive. And these beautiful and intelligent elephant holons are incredibly complex. They use their trunk holons as very sophisticated tools. They have great memories and form social groups to help them survive. Human beings, of course, have a very complex form, and we are very complex holons. We come with the very complex sentience that we all recognize. We have a word that we use for our very complex human sentience. We call it consciousness. It seems that the proposal that holons are sentient and that their level of sentience depends upon their level of holon complexity is obvious. All we have to do is look at ourselves and everything around us. In the mechanical Big Bang particle and space view of reality, life and consciousness are something mysterious that appear in the universe as if by magic. But in the quantum process view of reality, life and consciousness are inevitable properties of the universe. As important to the existence of the universe as space, time, energy and structure. These ideas open the door to new ways of thinking about our reality and our consciousness. It also opens the door to understanding how we think and where we fit into a sentient universe. If you would like to know more, have a look at the numbered videos in the series, Reality and Consciousness on this channel. I hope you enjoyed the video and found it informative. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe.